What's up? What's up, you guys? It's your girl, Ash Brown. This is the Ash Brown Uncensored. Yeah. Well, I know that you guys follow me all across social media at One Love Ash. And, of course, you've been supporting the Ash Said It Daily podcast show. I appreciate that. But right here, we're going to talk about some realness. We're going to talk about some realer than realness. And... Okay, so you see the title. And I was talking to a very good friend of mine that's in Denver, Colorado. Shout out to my girl Giselle, one of the flyest designers, stylists that I know. Might see me actually, parlaying a catwalk or two in some of her fashion designs, darling. Just stay tuned. Anyways, talking to Giselle, and she brought up a really good point about a friend that we share. I should say we shared, because then sometimes you just got to cut it off. When it's the foolishness, you got to cut it off. But she reminded me that this girl was in a hoe phase. And when I say that she was in a hoe phase, meaning she was serial dating with purpose, though. In her defense, it was purpose in what she was doing. Because she was not just looking for a sugar daddy. She was not looking to just come up on something. She was checking Roth IRAs, 401ks. She was doing the homework. Like, she was looking at salary, what do you call it? Like salary ceilings and stuff. Like the most that a person can make at a position in any given job at a certain time frame, years even. And she was serial dating, and she was going through a whole phase because I won't say I don't know per se because I wasn't there, but she was sleeping with some of these guys. And she was recently divorced. She had a teenage daughter. And I just simply shared with her. I said, maybe this is not what you need to be doing. No, you don't know me and blah, blah, blah. Okay. But you can go out there and hoe all you want to. But she would do things to try to get me to hoe out there with her. Y'all, I kid you not. She would find these Wall Street type men, set up double dates. I would be coming in from flights and stuff, and she would be setting up all kinds of, this guy here, and I know you're type Ash, and blah, blah, blah. And I would be like, I just want to go to bed. I don't care to know nobody right now. It's too much work. It's too much work. It's entirely too much work. And she just went through this phase. But she found her Mr. Right, or Mr. Right now anyways. Gorgeous man, accomplished author, speaker. He's been on a lot of different television programs you guys probably know of. He was like at the top of his game, all this stuff. They got engaged, and I kid you not, he started beating her ass. And I would see her at work or whatever, and she would have like bruising, and this girl is a very high complected woman. And she would have bruises on her arms or even her face sometimes. And I'd be like, what is that? And she'll, and she would always have an excuse. Always have an excuse. And it's so crazy because I saw this girl go from someone really hopeful, someone that was looking for her husband. She would tell anybody she's looking for her husband. And I slowly start to see that person get broken down and belittled. And she was like a shell of who she was, which was absolutely insane. It was scary. And it was sad at the same time because, we're all grown. We're all grown-ups. If you need help, reach out. I'm the type person nowadays, because I've been in so many situations with friendships and otherwise where I intervened or I interjected myself into the situation that had nothing to do with me. And I ended up being the bad guy because I would be the one, oh, you don't need this, and you need to do that, or tell him to do this, blah, 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 blah. And it would end up being just a hot mess, just a complete hot mess. So I've learned in my older age, knocking on 40's door, darling, I've learned to just fall back, and if someone needs help, that they come to you. So while I was seeing the signs of things, I would make little suggestions and stuff, but I would get a lot of pushback from her. And the only thing that you could do at that phase of the game is make sure that they have the information needed if they do seek help. Eventually, if they don't, because sometimes people may feel away. They may feel embarrassed. They may feel any number of things. And you just try to be a good person and just put that information out there, because maybe sometimes it's easier for people to reach out to a complete stranger and just air their whole guts out. And that may just work for them. Who knows? But I did find it funny. She was trying to get me to hoe out there with her and look for my husband. I ain't looking for no husband. We good. We good on these parts. It's some craziness out there. Trust and believe. It's a lot of head cases. And I'm honestly just now starting to unfold some of why I chose the men that I've chosen in the past. To where now, when I see signs of certain things, it's a red flag and I retreat. I chuck the deuces and I'm out. But what was very intriguing and fascinating about this girl was while before she found Mr. Wonderful and all this stuff, and I don't even know what happened to her, y'all. We fell out of contact when the pandemic hit and people were pulled wherever they were. I never heard from her again after that. I hope all is well with her and her family. But when we were in the mix of everything, this girl was on like every app seemed like imaginable. She was on every app. And she was like talking to all these guys regular. I'm like, girl, we flight attendants. How you find time to date all these men? And like, it wasn't just typical casual dating. Like, she was dating and talking to them on a regular schedule. I would say the time that I knew her and we were working together, there was at least 4 guys that she was talking to at one time. I tell y'all this, it's exhausting enough to learn one man's birthday. You talking about learning all 4 of these guys' birthday, their favorite food, how much kids they got, what they do on the weekends, how much money they pulling in, what does their retirement look like. And I would just be sitting up in the flight listening to her and all these stories, all these men. I'm like, just listening to you is exhausting. Just listening to these stories is exhausting. I'm like, how do you keep up with all this stuff? She had flashcards and she had these notes here, and she would verify their employment. I guess that's important. I suppose that's very important because some people today, y'all, some people are not honest. We'll just say that. So yeah, she was checking employment. It seemed like a part-time job on top of being a flight attendant. I'm like, that's a lot of work, baby. That's too much. It's way too much. I did partake in a few dinners at a couple of layovers that we may have had in some cities, like Salt Lake City. Salt Lake City is very, very beautiful. We were out in the mountains. It was really, really, I'd never been before. And I didn't get to actually like explore or anything like that, but we went out with, I forgot who the guys were, but they were in that city and she was ready for it. So we went out to dinner. The guy that she paired me up with, he was cool, he was straight, but it wasn't no chemistry there. So it was more like, we just sitting and watching her bond with his friend. So it is what it is, but you never forget when they tried to hoe you out. I'm like, and she would sit up there and encourage me. Oh, Ash, you need to be on this app because it is. And you need to find you a man like that on this app and this app here. And I'm like, girl, how you keep up with all these men, all these apps, all these names, all these cities? I was like, I tip my hat to you. I'm not built like that. I'm just built differently. I'm just built differently. because trying to do all of that, we good over here. We good. We good. Just a moment of reflection. I hope that you guys are having a good day. I hope that you have a wonderful, fantabulous weekend. And I'm going to holler at y'all on the flip side. Appreciate all the love and support on the Ash Said It Daily podcast show. Available on all platforms, all major podcast platforms. You got to just search in there, Ash Said It Daily. You'll see it pop up. Get you some daily inspiration for your everyday life. I love it. I'll holler at y'all later. Deuces.